BIPOC and racism have contributed to every part of my life. My understanding of friendship and leadership, and the importance of family, my love of the arts, my emotional intelligence, even my belief in God. My life is richer, and I'm a more loving person because of dozens of brief encounters and longer-term relationships with Blacks, Indigenous, and people of color. But I'm still a racist. I still have prejudices. I still benefit from white privilege and don't do enough to change the systems of oppression, enslavement, and inequality that destroy lives every day. Jesus tells us, "Inasmuch as you have done it unto the least of these, you have done it unto me." And I know that my everyday life is costing thousands of the least of these their lives every day. And yet I do not stop my consumption, my pollution, my discrimination. Years ago, I lost a good friend because of my racism. I could not face buying a house in North Minneapolis. Carol and I were on the verge of starting our family. I had been shot at and had my life saved by a Black assistant principal. I was a teacher at North High at the time, but I did not want to subject my family or myself to living in a dangerous neighborhood. My friend, with his wife and 2 kids, owned a beautiful home there, but I was too afraid. So I looked for and found a job in a safer suburban district. When we looked for a house, I remember there were neighborhoods I would not even consider. North Side, South Side around Central High School, and Phillips. All BIPOC neighborhoods. Of course, I understood on some level that these were people with families. I had worked with their children. But on another level, their neighborhoods had much higher crime rates, and I wanted to keep me and my family safe. We tried hard to find a house in South Minneapolis, but were unsuccessful. I was born in St. Louis Park, so when we found a home we could afford there, I remember it felt good, comfortable, almost like coming home. But my North Side friend would no longer speak to me. He felt I was betraying my values, and I know he was right. Over the years, Plymouth has been an important influence on my beliefs about race. Part of this I credit to Howard Kahn, Plymouth's senior minister when I was growing up in this church. He had his friend Howard Thurman come and guest preach at Plymouth on several occasions. He had a statue of Shiva in the church parlor. I admired his universalism. Recently, through Plymouth's Immigrant Welcoming Working Group, I've become involved with supporting immigrants. Before COVID, I visited detainees in the Freeborn County Jail in Albert Lea every month for 3 years. I wrote pen pal letters to some of them and attended many court hearings. One of the men I visited and wrote to was Isaiah. I've changed his name to protect his identity. Isaiah and I got along very well, and I was devastated when I heard he was likely to receive a deportation order at his next hearing. I'd met his lawyer at previous hearings and asked if there was anything more I could do to support his case, as a result of which I wrote the judge a character reference letter. At the hearing, the prosecutor listed various charges against him, and I thought, oh no, it's all over. He has no chance. The defense attorney explained what was going on with his family as a mitigating circumstance. The support letters were entered into evidence. After a brief recess, the judge said to Isaiah, "You are clearly a remarkable young man. To have taken on the full burden of supporting your family, mother with mental problems and 7 younger siblings, speaks well of your character. That strangers see your character and leadership and courage is rare and worthy of notice. I hereby order your release from custody immediately." Isaiah, wearing an orange prison jumpsuit, hands, feet, and waist shackled, fell to the floor sobbing. A guard rushed over, radioing for help with a potentially dangerous situation. The judge said, "Cancel that request. He is of no danger to anyone right now." All of us were overcome, flooded with relief, thrilled at the unexpected outcome. Most of my detainee acquaintances were not so fortunate. But these people that I have met over the years who have been through so much have never given up, and they have given me the strength to persevere in working to love our immigrant neighbors. In Isaiah's life, I was able to make a positive contribution and combat the system of oppression. I'm realizing my goal to become an anti-racist will be a lifelong pursuit. I'm inspired by my daughter and son-in-law, Nina and Jasper Johnson, who exhort Carol and me to become anti-racist. To quote Pope Francis from his remarks on the death of George Floyd, we cannot tolerate or turn a blind eye to racism and exclusion in any form, and yet claim to defend the sacredness of every human life. We do such a poor job of both. It's time we get a move on. This I believe.